I meet all kinds of people who don't enjoy what they do. They simply go through their lives getting on with it. They get no great pleasure from what they do. They endure it rather than enjoy it and wait for the weekend. But I also meet people who love what they do and couldn't imagine doing anything else. If you said to them, don't do this anymore, they'd wonder what you're talking about. Because it isn't what they do, it's who they are. They say, but this is me. You know, it would be foolish for me to abandon this because it speaks to my most authentic self. And it's not true of enough people. In fact, on the contrary, I think it's still true of a minority of people. And I think there are many possible explanations for it. And high among them is education. Because education, in a way, dislocates very many people from their natural talent. But too often, it's not. Every education system in the world is being reformed at the moment. And it's not enough. Reform is no use anymore, because that's simply improving a broken model. What we need, and the word's been used many times during the course of the past few days, is not evolution, but a revolution in education. This has to be transformed into something else. One of the real challenges is to innovate fundamentally in education. Innovation is hard because it means doing something that people don't find very easy for the most part. It means challenging what we take for granted, things that we think are obvious. The great problem for reform or transformation is the tyranny of common sense. When people are doing the thing that suits them best, we just say to them, we will say casually, they're irrelevant. It's like a fish in water. This is where they're meant to be. It's like a bird in the air. So to me, it's two things. It's finding things you're good at, but not just things you're good at, things you also love. So if you find something that you're good at that you love, well, you know, that's a very sweet spot to be in eventually. Yeah. So that differs for all of us. I mean, I find this in all the work I've done, almost anything you can think of, any human activity. There will be people who can't wait to get up in the morning to get to it, and people whose hearts sink at the very thought of it. Mm-hmm. Because we're different. You know, there are different things that excite our energy. So, and I think it's when people are most energized and most excited by something that they're more likely to do their best personal creative work.
As I see it, creativity is putting your imagination to work. To be creative, you have to do something. You can be imaginative all day long and never do anything. But to be creative, you do things. It's a very practical process, and it can be anything. We'll come on to it. So one short way of defining creativity is applied imagination. But let me be more specific. I define it as the process of having original ideas that have value. The process of having original ideas that have value. And the three terms matter. It's a process, it's not an event, and you can understand and manage the process. It's about originality, and it's about making critical judgments of whether this work is any good. All creative processes are intermingled with value judgments. And that's critically important, because you have to know which values to apply and why to what sort of work. I mean, if you're helping children draw, like 5-year-old kids, you have to apply relevant criteria to their drawings, ones that are relevant to their development. You know, it wouldn't be right, would it, to take a 5-year-old kid's drawing and drag him to the Sistine Chapel and say, this is okay, you know, but check this out, you know, really, and don't waste my time, you know. You have to apply what's relevant. So it's about process, originality, and value. Innovation, I think, of as putting good ideas into practice. It's the process of implementing original ideas.
I don't mean to say that being wrong is the same thing as being creative. What we do know is, if you're not prepared to be wrong, you'll never come up with anything original. If you're not prepared to be wrong. And by the time they get to be adults, most kids have lost that capacity. They have become frightened of being wrong. And we run our companies this, by the way. We stigmatize mistakes. And we're now running national education systems where mistakes are the worst thing you can make. And the result is that we are educating people out of their creative capacities. Picasso once said this. He said that all children are born artists. The problem is to remain an artist as we grow up. I believe this passionately, that we don't grow into creativity, we grow out of it. And my contention is all kids have tremendous talents and we squander them pretty ruthlessly. So I want to talk about education and I want to talk about creativity. My contention is that creativity now is as important in education as literacy, and we should treat it with the same status.